There's Ashley. Hi, Ashley. Hi, everyone coming in. Thanks for being here. Hi, Sutton. Hi, friends. All right, so I am Sadie Young, the owner here at Spectra Art Space, and we are about to get started with our 6th episode of Spectra in Your Studio. Every Friday at 6 p.m. we go live right here on our Instagram and interview different artists and creatives. We get a tour of their studio. I see what they've been working on, see if they have some advice for all of us, and more. And today I'm really excited about our guest. She's a classically trained painter with a love for fantasy and collectors worldwide. So I know she's already in here, so on top of it. Let's get her in here. Hi, Grace. Hi, Bruce.
It works.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi. I can.
Yeah.
Can everyone else hear us okay and stuff? Can you hear me?
That's like half
Yeah.
the battle.
Right?
This works.
Right? The last 2 weeks ago, because I didn't do last week, but last week with Mo, my sound cut out like for the second half of it. So I was like, oh, I should make sure everyone can hear me. Sounds and looks great, Grace says. That's good. Heck yeah. Cool. Good. I just saw your text too. That's so funny. You're funny.
I needed an to clean my studio, so I was like, well, here we are. I'm gonna clean it.
So we're friends and I'm gonna just get started talking, but before I do you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
I'm Ashley Raine. I've been in Denver for the longest time, Denver-based pretty much artist. Like Sadie said, I'm classically trained. I started out with like a lot of figurative stuff and oil painting, things like that, and then slowly started developing my work into more nerdy, different stuff that I wanted to do more than that. And that's what I'm doing now. So.
Nice. And you paint and you build. You're like all over the place. It's great.
Yeah, it started out of necessity because I didn't have enough money to actually buy canvases and buy a lot of anything. So I'd be scavenging for all sorts of materials, and I kind of had to learn to do my own stuff. So I'm all over the place.
It's good. It's good. Skill coming out of necessity. It's usually like a good skill, right?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah. Good. So the first thing I usually do is ask what you've been working on and if you could show us and give us like a little tour of your studio.
Yeah, dude, I have so much stuff right now. I have gotten really bad at finishing paintings. I'm just gonna pick this up. And I start too many at once, and then, what happened. But I just finished this one, mostly. So this is Aquaman as a sushi chef.
As a sushi chef? That's hilarious.
So that was kind of exciting, but this is my little spot. I have like all these little paintings that need to be finished. Oh, hey, look, a dog.
Is that your studio buddy?
That is my studio buddy. And just basically like all of my crap all over the place. This one's going to be another nerdy parody thing, so I'm working on that today. But yeah, that's most of my studio stuff.
I like how your paints are displayed. That's
that right there.
That's super legit. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that they're all color coded. That makes me pretty happy when I look at it.
Did you make that? The like paint hanger?
Yeah. All it is like a frame with a wood block on top of it and then just screws into it and the little clamp things. You keep your oil paint from going crazy. Nice.
It's got to make it so much easier. Oh, hi, Serge. I think Serge owns one of your paintings, actually. Sergio just came in. I don't know. I think he probably bought it from us, though.
Done a lot of paintings. It's all right.
Yeah. So Um, this is something I always ask everyone too, and I know we've known each other for a long time, but how did you end up in the Spectra art space family? Or since you've been in like a ton of shows, do you want to tell us like maybe what your favorite one was or your favorite experience with us?
Well, it's so funny because, like Sadie said, we met in college, and it was in a random class that I didn't even think I was gonna like or want to take. I was taking watercolor. Like, what am I gonna do with beginning watercolor? I'm an oil painter. What am I doing? And that's where we met. And coincidentally, that's where I did my first nerdy stormtrooper parody painting that I had ever done in a watercolor class, and I loved it. And I sold it. And then later, like a couple, when were you doing the armory, the purple couch
Um,
there?
oh, the Star Wars show? I think that
There
was
was
like 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
forever ago. So
Yeah.
you contacted me because you were like, hey, Star Wars. And I was like, yeah, Star Wars. So I painted just like the second one for that. It was like stormtroopers in a field having a picnic. And then that one sold. And I was like, maybe there's something to this. And then when you started up your gallery, right after another Star Wars show, I was like, oh, stormtroopers for life. And that's how we got. So now I just give you all the nerdy like Star Wars paintings and stuff. But
Oh,
my
that's awesome.
favorite shows are the tiny art shows.
The tiny ones? Oh yeah, I like those ones a lot too. Especially because I get to add a bunch of art to my collection with those
Yeah.
ones. I like it. Yeah.
I think I've gotten
I
about
didn't,
three from every
I
show.
actually had it. Like when I read through your bio, I was like, she started that in 2015. I wonder if it was in school, but I did not know that the second one was for one of the
Um,
art shows that I was doing too. That's really cool.
yeah, it's crazy. Like just having, it's nuts how like that's something that I always wanted to do. I didn't want to just get stuck with one niche of classically painting stuff, and then just having a place to display that was so important in being able to develop that nerdy parody stuff. So thanks. I love
Heck
you.
yeah. Oh, so before I go on to another question, I'm gonna tell Sergio, and usually I don't like look at these until the end, but yeah, it must have been the stormtrooper with the ice cream
The ice
cone.
cream cone. For sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because nobody else that we work with would have done a stormtrooper with an ice cream cone. So for sure that was it, Sergio. Yeah. So he owns that. So he's in here watching. That's fun.
Thanks, Sergio.
Yeah. Okay. So I know we kind of talked about this, but how long have you been a full-time artist?
I really pretty much started my business when I was 18. And the plan was to do some art school, and because that's what everybody tells you to do. You want to be an artist, you got to get an art degree. And I just started, painting little things and opening myself up for commissions, trying to get my name out there, going to festivals and doing little stuff like that, just so that I could contact people about it. So yeah, since I was 18, come a little bit way since then.
I mean, that's pretty cool that you like started a like as a business when you were 18.
It was fun.
And you
There's a lot of stuff I would do differently going back to it, but
so we kind of have that in common then. So you were a working artist in college.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
It
I
was,
feel like that what was
sorry.
that? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
it was cool.
I thought that that would be like a really interesting thing to kind of talk about with you because um we both have a BFA and that's where we met was in college. We already talked about that. And I feel like some artists and some people, and I know this from experience, kind of like question going to school for art. Even artists that I know that went to school for art are like, I wish I didn't do that, or
Yeah,
have like a totally different opinion on it. And I loved school, and I feel like I have like key elements um, that really stood out to me, but also some things I didn't really like and things I would kind of change. So I'm kind of curious, like what your academic experience was, and if there was like highlights and then things that you wish were a part of it, because the academic art world is kind of a different beast. So
it's a different beast. And yeah, I mean, I also loved being in art school. because it forced me. One of my biggest problems is consistently making myself do stuff, or it was until a couple years ago. And being in school and having that creative critique, like automatically in your classes, having people actually watch you do your art, so you kind of have to do it, was really important for me to be able to develop the skills that I eventually ended up developing. And like I met so many people through art school that I would have no idea, like some mural clients, you obviously, like a whole bunch of other people that I've met at different shows all the way around Denver. And if I hadn't gone, I wouldn't know any of that. But it does bother me how the fine arts, when you go for a certain niche, especially fine arts painting and fine arts sculpting and stuff like that, that they are so concerned with only getting into a certain level of the art world. Do you know what I mean? Like they're always teaching you how to go to a kind of gallery, do a certain kind of biography, specialized, what's the portfolio? That's a word I should know. Just all that kind of stuff. And they don't really prepare you for what's really out there in the art world. Because you got to be able to know how to look for things that are in your world and figure it out. So that was my bit.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I really one thing that I really wish I kind of would have done is, or that I think is like that needs to be added into a fine arts degree is business. Not one half of one semester where you kind of learn about the business side of it. You know, like I feel like that's what I got anyways. I feel like there was like a half semester dedicated to the business side of like art. And and I wish I would have taken like business classes. I mean, I opened a gallery, but even just as an artist, I wish I would have taken more business classes, because that's been kind of like you get thrown into it and then you're kind of learning as you go, right?
Yeah, but you have to, you know, you should do that. It's like owning your own studio business situation class. I'd watch it.
Yeah. I always joke, I'm like, so when I get old enough or when I get like far enough in my career where like a graduate, like a graduate school wants to like pay for me to go, then I'll go back.
Nice.
and then I want to go back when I'm like old and like add that to the academic curriculum, because it's really lacking. Like it really surprised me. Like we were in school with so many talented people and like really talented teachers too, I even felt like, and there was constantly people like in my painting classes and studio classes and stuff, like asking me how I was making money making art and stuff. And like, yeah, I feel like that just is kind of needed.
Didn't tell you how to do it. I mean, we did have a lot of good people that, you know, we could figure out networking on our own if we had the availability, but there were so many people that just couldn't figure that out. And even now, like what, half a decade, 5 years later, something like that, going to shows and watching artists drop off their work and stuff, basic stuff like presentation, that they don't really teach you that you need, and having your work labeled and stuff like that. So galleries are like, oh my God, you have your work labeled. And you're like, well, yeah, I do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like that's the kind of thing where it's like, why didn't we learn that with a bachelor's of fine art? But yeah, I think too that we're like in a new, like almost right when we started being professional artists, like the kind of way that you present your art to the world kind of has like shifted dramatically with everything online, especially right now, right? So
I know, like, that's the thing that I've struggled over like the past decade. I'm so bad at social media, like so bad, because I do my stuff and then I forget that I actually have to put it up for people to see it nowadays, because not everybody's going to galleries and stuff, and then it's just chilling in my house, you know, waiting for someone to look at it.
Well, now you're doing those TikToks, which are super fun to watch, by the way. Like if you're watching, you should definitely follow Ashley. Go check out her page, because her story almost like every day. I mean, I feel like you're painting like every day. Are you painting every day?
I'm trying to, yeah. It keeps you accountable because, yeah, you have to. So I'm doing it in
Well,
such
now
a
she makes fun TikToks, so you can go watch her make. I think I saw the one where you were starting the sushi chef
yeah.
Aquaman.
Uh-huh.
That's amazing. I love how giant he is. Is that a commission piece?
No, it's so there's this other gallery I've been working with. They're called the Incredible Art Gallery. I am parodier, and they do all parody nerdy stuff. And so that's another gallery example of where I've had a chance to display specific things, and this is one of them. So that's what I'm doing.
I love that. So I feel like a really awesome takeaway just so far from the conversation that we've had is like you found something that, when we were in school, like you enjoyed painting that stormtrooper piece, right? Like with them playing chess. Like I'll never forget it. They were playing chess on a porch.
Yeah.
Like I totally remember that. And um like you were just like, I feel like sometimes too, when we're in school, like teachers also told me all the time, because I would be like working on commissions for school. Like they're like, oh, it has to have more depth or whatever. But like art is art and your skill shows that enough. I feel like too, it doesn't always have to be like so serious.
Yeah, that was
Um,
the thing in
and you
school.
enjoy it. And
Yeah.
now you're in like you've been invited to all these art shows and you're in this gallery that like focuses on something that you actually enjoy painting. Like that's really cool. And so make what you want. I feel like is kind of important.
Thing, dude, because like the fine arts, like high art gallery worlds, they really don't take into account how smart people are when they're looking at art. Like they can tell if the artist was not into it. It doesn't matter
Yeah,
what kind of painting it is. Your art is going to be affected by your mood. And if you're just doing it to have more depth or be more specific or something, people can tell and they will not buy your art. So if
right?
you're doing what you want, someone out there is going to like it. And it
Absolutely.
might be your mom. Your mom might buy it, you know?
Yeah, right? Seriously, my grandma's like my biggest art collector. I love it. Shout out to Betty Young. So like back to like your bio even says like a classically trained painter, and I mean you're really good at form and all of that, and like that painting behind you, I mean that just like reminds me of like the Renaissance and all of
Yeah.
that. Was that like a specific was there like a moment for you in school, or was there like a reason besides just like the form, or like what made you be like I want to be this good at form and figure,
That's
and
the
did that develop because of school?
Yeah, actually. Before I was at Metro, I was at Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design. And I was most fascinated with my figure painting classes. And like all oil, I hadn't delved into acrylic or anything yet. It was all about the oil. And it's funny that you asked this. I'm taking you on a field trip. So there was
Yay.
a there was a class where they wanted us to, every artist has this when you're in art school. You have to do the master copy, right?
Yep.
So I picked this piece. I still have it by Da Vinci, and it's a
Oh
copy of
wow.
something that he did, and he only did the charcoal drawing. And I was just fascinated, but I was like, hell yeah, Da Vinci's cool. And so I did that, and then I realized they wanted you to turn it into a painting. He never actually turned it into an actual painting like this. He did a whole different version. So I was like, well, hell, I'm going to paint that. My skills were not up to par just yet. Like my oil is coming off in places. It's sort of a mess. But like that was my first big, huge oil painting where I learned a lot about my technique by like attempting to do that. So I keep it up there so I remember some of what not to do.
But also it's amazing, and I mean clearly you have a skill if that was one of your first oil paintings, right?
So
But yeah, I think that's like, so this is something that somebody had told me. I think her name was Corey, and she was a really good figure painter too. Um, like she gave me some advice, and maybe tell me if you agree with this or not, but she was like, she was like, when you're in school, take as many figure painting and drawing classes as you can. Just like keep doing those, because that is a skill that you can't there. It's not as easy to access like drawing from life and stuff like that outside of school. Do you think that is good advice for just like artists in general?
I totally agree with that, because if that's the failing of the art thing the art school thing that you need to take a grain of salt with if you're in art school, is like we were talking, they're not always going to teach you the amount of business and connections and like all of the promotion that you need to figure out. So focus on technique as much as you can. Like focus on all the figurative stuff, know how to do these things and how to work your media, and then you can, figure out the rest.
Yeah, right.
With that.
I didn't take that advice. And now I really wish I would have a little bit more, but I think I only took one figure drawing class or something. But I was pretty like stuck in my ways. I took a lot of art history. I was like that nerd. I liked reading
Cool.
and stuff. Yeah. That was my I enjoyed reading and writing a lot, but was there a teacher or like some advice or something that you got from like a teacher specifically that stuck with you since we've been out of school for 5 years now?
Years. God, 5 whole years. Gosh, there was one. You remember Carlos in the painting department? Carlos Fresquez? Anyway,
Yeah.
our teachers in the painting department. He had just said basically like, do what you want. That was it. Like, because I was struggling, I was overthinking it hardcore. I was like, what if this piece doesn't have enough meaning? He's like, just paint what you want because it's going to turn out right. And I believe he said some other really poignant stuff, but that's the one thing that really stuck with me, was just to have fun with my work. So
That's amazing. And you can tell that you do. Like, and I love that. It's like, and you're so talented and your work is so fun. Yeah, every time I like go see your Instagram, I'm like, I miss painting. And usually that doesn't happen unless I like go see like an art show outside of Spectra.
Yeah.
Like I went and saw the Monet exhibit and I was like looking at just like the paint and I was like, oh, I miss painting so much. And your Instagram and your feed and your videos make me miss it too. And also I admire your skill a lot too. So yeah.
That makes my heart so happy.
Yeah. Well, I feel
that's all we really.
What was that?
Hey, I'm cutting out a little bit here. I said if just one person gets inspired, that's all we can hope for.
Right? Yeah, that's so true. And I feel like Carlos was pretty monumental for me. He did a lot like to inspire me. There was I reference our watercolor teacher a lot, even though I can't remember her name and I feel really bad, but she Gigi, that's right. She would like during critiques, which I'll go back to critiques in a second because I think that's really poignant too. But during our critiques, she would like point at like the watercolors and be like, this moment right here. Yeah. And like just talk about how she loved that moment of like the paint like coming together. There's like little moments like that I have with some teachers.
I know. It's funny that you mentioned that. She was so cool. And she always did say that was something that stuck with me too. She used to say, once you, and I took this to heart, man. She said, once you make a stroke and you like it, if you paint over it, you're never going to get that stroke back. And I was like, oh, stop overworking your painting. Got it.
That's good. I like that. I like that a lot. Like, I feel like I'm kind of like sensitive, especially when the words are nice. And I just got like some goosebumps from that. I was like, oh, I love that. Yay. See, just this conversation is making me want to paint. I love it.
Same. Like looking at my freshly clean studio and, I'm ready.
So I feel like not everyone can, obviously, like not everyone wants to go to school or can like afford to do that. especially now, but
Yeah.
we have like artists who listen to these and watch these and stuff. And just to kind of circle back to like critiques being such a value added to the academic world and like going through college and going through getting our BFAs. Is that something that you have anymore in your life? Or I mean, I certainly don't. And I would love to have that back.
I know. I've seen a couple of places, like social media platforms, trying to start up some sort of critique groups. But, with social media, you get trolls, you get people that aren't actually seeing the work, and it's difficult to do that online. And there's not a whole lot of places, that like everybody of a like mind and like style can go and take their work and actually have a critique. So no, unfortunately, like you just get people that have some opinions on your
Have an
art, but not
opinion.
everybody
Yeah. It's different with
is.
artists. I feel like if you get stuck or you have an opportunity to do that, if you're watching or listening as an artist, and maybe it's something that, I could think about too, and we could always think about, is just reach out to
Yeah.
another artist. And now, maybe now do it over Zoom or video, but
Me, man. I will always like look at a piece and be like, sure, that looks good. That might need a little help. So do
yeah,
that, you know?
yeah.
Love that. And I'll do it to somebody too. Like, please help me.
um,
To have a critique to bring our live pieces, that would be so awesome.
yeah, maybe we'll be able to do something like that at Spectra once, things settle down a little bit, or like a Zoom chat. That would be really cool, actually.
Yeah.
If you're watching and you think that'd be cool, you should like heart it if you want to be in a critique with Ashley. She's really talented. She'd be a good one to critique your work, especially if you're doing figurative stuff. Critique in a good way, give you helpful advice.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so I know that a big part of your business is commission work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Until recently.
until recently, but it got you. I mean, you painted a lot, right? And like a lot of commissions and stuff. And that will come to somebody who has like the level of training and stuff that you have, especially with portraits and stuff like that. But I thought that would be something really cool to kind of talk about and discuss that makes you unique from a lot of the other artists that I've interviewed and that I will interview. So what is your process for taking on commission work? And do you have some advice for artists who want to receive commissions or are thinking about trying to open themselves up for commissions?
Yeah, totally. I've only started recently just moving away from commissions, but to just, work on some nerdy stuff that I'm more excited to do. But especially when you're just starting out as an artist, commissions are your backbone. And so I would put as many different pieces as I could of all different kinds of media, like, you know, oil paintings all over in any open show that I could get, so that hopefully someone would see it. And then if they wanted something like that, they'd be able to contact me. So that's how I started. It started off kind of slowly. And then, over the course of the years, I would have a pretty steady stream of certain things that people wanted to get painted. And it was awesome. It's bumming me out to move away from that a little bit because I love painting other people's ideas and their stuff so much, because you never know what somebody else is going to think of. You can get stuck in your own creative head forever. But if somebody else said something about like, hey, paint this doing like this, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, I can do that. And then you can branch off on a whole different level of creativity. But I don't know. The one thing that I would say to people if they're doing commissions and they're getting kind of busy and it's good is you can say no. Nobody's going to get offended. If somebody wants you to do like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example, like something that's outside of your style, and something that you just don't want to paint, like it's okay. Because like I said earlier, I mean, they're going to be able to tell on some level that you didn't enjoy painting it. So if you don't want to paint somebody's tattoo something, you don't want to do a portrait of a dog, you don't want to do that, then don't do it. You don't have to. Something else will come along. That's my biggest advice.
I feel like that's really good advice. I feel like I need, even sometimes like I would have needed to take that advice because that's like the real struggle with commissions is like
Yeah.
sometimes, and I've done it before where, or like I take on too much at once,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Um, as far as the business side of it, how did you start to handle that? Did you have like contracts or what
Poorly.
was your
I
deposit
started out
process or
so poorly. I didn't have a solid price point because I started out so young. So I didn't know what to charge. And I was cool with people, making like extended payments and stuff. And they weren't trying to take advantage of me or anything. I just didn't set any boundaries or any guidelines for how to get paid and stuff like that. So over the course of the years, I figured out how to do that a little bit better. After a couple people like just didn't pay or didn't pick up their art. So now, like, I have policies all set. Sometimes I'll do a contract if it's a really big piece. If it's over $1,500 that I'm charging for them, I will do a contract. And I always ask for 50% up front so that if they back out or they don't like it for some reason, which is, it happens, then I at least get compensated for my time and materials. And, if you're upfront with that for everybody who's ordering pieces, they usually are cool with it. And then it makes it better. It's easier to work with them to make their perfect painting, you know? Did that answer your question?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it totally did. Um, so how did you determine like what your boundaries were and maybe what are some of your like is there like a policy that you think is good is like a good thing besides the 50% up front? Because I think that should just be standard for any artist. If you're gonna do a commission, at least get 50% up front.
It was just failure on my part because I was too young and just didn't know what I was doing. And it was like one specific painting forever ago. I don't even remember the person, but I worked so hard on it. I didn't charge enough. And then they took like 6 months to pay me and then they ghosted me. And I was like, man, I need to have this set up better. First of all, I need to figure out my price point. Second, I need to stop like drinking and making deals. And thirdly, to have a contract and some guidelines. So that's what I did.
I feel
Especially
like
for
I yeah, I think that that's really good. Like um figuring out what you're that's a good train of thought for commissions because I feel like some artists and like even if they've been artists for a long time or people who are interested in trying to like get into that or get asked about it a lot and like don't know where to start, I feel like that's a really good kind of like little checklist there.
it's super hard to figure out, but and there's sometimes where you like start painting on something or start working on pieces and you think, man, like I have to have everything all ordered. I have to have my exact price point and blah, 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 and all this stuff set up. And you don't always know everything you're going to need before you do it. So try to prepare yourself as much as you can, but jump in. You'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I guess there was like one business thing that stuck with me when I was in school. Um I I forgot what the class was. I mean, I think it was just maybe the thesis class.
Yeah.
And one thing that teacher said was important as like a professional artist was to be consistent with your pricing. So that way, because like if one collector talks to another collector, and you probably know this now too because you have lots of collectors, but if one talks to another and they find out that they paid dramatically different prices for a similar painting or something from the same series that's the same size or a similar commission, they're going to
Yeah.
get mad and that
Well,
kind of thing will spread.
Yeah, that's a super huge thing. Cause like, but that doesn't mean like you got to keep them consistent, especially little things like prints and stuff. You can't have prints for sale starting at $40 at some place and then have them for $10 at someplace else. You know, like your easy replicatable stuff. Replicatable? Is that a word? Probably. But also that doesn't mean that as you grow and as you get better, that your price point can't change. So if you
Exactly.
have,
Yeah.
that's another commission thing. If you have a long-term customer that's been with you for like years and years and years, but you were charging $100 for a portrait and now you're charging $500 for a portrait because your skill level and your like business has increased, be open with them about that. If they still want to pay that, that's cool. And if not, then they'll find somebody else. But don't just like sell yourself short, you know, because you're trying to keep your
Yeah.
price point.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I think something that I love that Grace said was that art appreciates in value, and so does the artist, right? Especially if you're consistently in your studio. Like, just because you're faster or something becomes like a little less challenging, like your value is increasing. Just like a tattoo artist. It's the same with
Yeah.
a painter, you know? So,
The better you,
yeah, and
you know,
yeah, absolutely.
sorry, I'm something's cutting.
Am
But
I
yeah,
am I
I
cutting out
great.
a bunch? I'm sorry.
I might be cutting out a teensy bit. I can't tell.
The internet, so I'm not at Spectra, I'm at my home studio. The internet here is just like really it could be my internet. So I apologize if it's not been great.
Your audio is good. I can hear you.
That's good. Um so you like paint all the time every day. Do you have like a favorite like tool or um do you have like a go-to like set of things that you use almost all the time that you like couldn't live without?
This is the world's tiniest brush. Okay, maybe not in the whole world, but my tiny brush. Dude,
Your tiny
I
round?
could not put brushes. Yeah, my tiny little brush. It's so funny. I actually lost my last one right when all of the COVID stuff started, when all the craft
Oh
stores and everything
no.
was shut down. I lost my tiny brush and I needed to do detail and I cleaned my whole house because I lost it and then I found it in my pocket and I couldn't look at it. It was a mess.
That's so funny. I love that. I think that that's like that I probably yeah, my little ones become my favorite. I don't paint as much anymore, but the rounds and like my little ones have always kind of been my favorite. But when I've recently been painting, it's been pretty small, so I do miss painting
Yeah,
really big, and I miss my oils, but that's good.
yeah. You know,
Um,
when you a business to actually find time to be creative yourself. So any painting that you happen to have time for, good job. You did
right?
it.
I'm kind of like ADD with my creation, my like what I want to create too. Like right after school, I was painting a lot, but then when I started the gallery, like art became really serious, and so I stopped making
Yeah.
really serious art, and I just wanted to make fun, like almost more like crafty things, but they like it makes me
Sisters,
happy, you know.
I love
So
practices so much. Your little crochets are awesome.
yeah, I've been making a lot of animals because I have a client who commissioned me to make like all these different animals. And I was like, I'm up for the challenge and I've been crocheting anyways. Like, this will be fun. So I've been like more crafty sculpting.
That's
But
you
yeah,
never know like
it's fun.
creativity is gonna take you. And you know, man, like I used to hate when people would say that like if it's not gonna be worth money or if it's not serious enough, then don't pursue that as an artistic direction because we all get blocked, and especially creatively inclined minds, we get this dam built up in our heads. And if we don't just like let loose every now and then and paint something weird or do a little craft or whatever, like we won't be able to work on our actual paintings that we might want to focus a little bit more seriously on. So it doesn't matter if it's not serious, do it.
Yeah, that's so true. And I love like how seeing your studio, and then when we did the interview with Gabriel Welsh too, there's like a really common thread between the two of you in that way where it's like if you get stuck, you like start something new, and like getting your first tour and you're like, I'm working on so many different things. Like, so if you're watching and you're an artist and you struggle with those things, like look at these two pretty successful painters who paint all the time. Like that's how they get through it. I mean, I think that that's just such an important takeaway from, and it's cool to see that common thread between these. It's not like, not like one project at a time. And I get stuck that way. Like, I'm like, if I don't finish this, I'm going to be insane. but with the gallery, I'm totally that way. I'm like working on a million things at once, and I have all these ideas, and I'm like pulling from that. So in that creative field, I'm like that. But yeah.
So that unblocks you a little bit. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I get stuck with that too. I'm like creatively, like sometimes I'll just like get into a pit of like, I don't know what show to do next. I don't know what expectations people have. And then like that's when the weird shows happen. That's when that's when like the ice cream show happens.
And we sold an ice cream stormtrooper. So.
Yeah, but it's fun. So what do you think are keys for your successful studio practice? What keeps you going in there? Because I know you were saying like school helped you just start getting to that point where you're like, I have to do stuff. And what do you think are the keys for you for having a successful studio practice?
I have to have a routine. So consistency. Because I know it's different for everybody, but I always kind of worked from home studio, especially I had this other studio, and I was going to try to find another place downtown. Just choked on nothing. Another place downtown to have a studio. And then all this virus stuff happened, and I was like, well, I'm just going to stick around and stick with it at home. And when you're at home, like everybody thinks that it's going to be all sorts of like, you have all this time. You can work out in the morning. Like you can make your breakfast. You can be all fancy. Then you have tons of time to work, and it's just going to happen like that. And without a routine, I will lay on the couch and eat Cheetos all day. And I won't paint. So I had to make myself consistent at home in a studio and make sure that I had a routine. Like I was up, I had my coffee, I attempt to work out or at least think about it. I do something around the house, and I immediately get the studio, and I can't leave until I do something. And that's the only way I can make it work, because otherwise I don't do it.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think it's cool to hear like what works for different people too. Like, and I feel like people are hearing this a lot, especially right now, because a lot of people are working from home. But I do think having a routine is super important. And I'm realizing personally, like the value of that even more now, because I've kind of like this last week, I have kind of like lost my routine a bit, which is super strange. And it's definitely putting me into like a different kind of funk. And it's that one part of me that's like, you have to like, just finish this project, just finish this one project. You're fine. Like you'll do yoga later tonight. And it's like, it like really threw off like a lot of the routine that I had kind of gotten used to for the past like 4 months, which was like wake up super early, work out, then work. And, like,
we're like, this is going to last forever.
Yeah. We're all human. And sometimes, that stuff can,
that's part of the
I don't want to say fall apart. That sounds so dramatic. Not fall apart, but like it just, it's not there, and I can feel the effect of it a little bit. So as much as like, and I feel like all these things online is like now are like, just keep a routine. And there's all these like memes and like cute checklists and stuff. And for a lot of people, it's like, it's not that easy, but
Like he falls off it too. Like, I mean, I go through periods where I'm getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I do a whole bunch of stuff with my day and I'm working out and I'm feeling strong. And then there's days where I don't get up until 2 p.m. and I'm working until 6 in the morning, you know? So doesn't matter. Just as long as you get back on the horse if you fall
Yeah. It happens to everyone, basically. Like we're all humans, right?
off.
And I
Exactly.
think that's like a yeah. um okay, so I am curious with this, like, and we kind of saw a bunch of your paintings when you did the studio tour. We had like a really pretty background started, and then we had like a landscape. Um, do you have a favorite part of your process, like the whole process of a painting?
Ooh, that's a super good question. The end, because it's done, is my favorite part. I
That's
get
so
to go
funny.
about the
I love
last
that.
part. Like I would say, so this one is like 2 sessions in. You can't really tell what's going on yet, and it's just layers that are drying, and I'm bored, you know? This piece is about 75% done. I just need all the furs and stuff in there. But it's starting to get beautiful colors and lights and things. And that's probably a favorite part. But yeah, the finished product is what I'm going for.
Yeah.
I get
I think
real.
I think that's what's so cool about having you like right after Mo, because I feel like for Mozart it was so different. Like it's so like abstract and
Oh, I do it so
expressive. And
quickly. It's awesome.
yeah, so for her, when we were talking, her favorite part of her process is the process. And I more relate to you because like especially when I was painting. Um
Yeah.
my favorite part of it was the end. When I was, especially when I was doing like portraits and commissions and stuff, like, well, and I
Yeah.
really liked mixing color. I feel like that was one of my favorite parts of painting was making colors.
That's
I
like,
liked
I think
that.
it's the sexiest things about art, and it'll be like mixing good paint and like fresh brushes and beautiful canvases, and that's going to be on there. Because yeah, it's fun for the aesthetics. Hey, buddy. Sorry, my dog.
Oh, it's okay. I love it. Um yeah, I feel like even when I've been like crocheting and stuff recently, like I get really like I get excited when I'm starting and then I get really frustrated and then I'm like, why is this not done yet? And I like look at the time and stuff. This is just like this was happening to me today. That's why I'm talking about it. But yeah, I feel like at the end it's nice. That's a good point. Are you using oil still primarily? I mean, a lot of the stuff I've been getting from you is acrylics. Are you kind of all over? Or are you mostly acrylics now?
I was a little bit kind of. I mean, you know me, like I can't focus on one thing too long or I get really bored, like with my nail pieces and stuff, which
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
that's
love those.
nails. It's construction nails. Um, but with those pieces and stuff, I kind of had to take a break, and those were all acrylic on the bases. And then I was doing acrylic base, like bottom stuff, and then doing top layers of oil because I love how in different lights, when that shines through all those layers, it gives it completely different depth, which is rad.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly just acrylics because I've finally learned how to blend with acrylics.
With acrylics, which is
Oh
actually like a very challenging skill. Like
my God.
you have this ability with acrylics to make it look like oil, which is like super cool.
So long.
And I mean, that is just like a I feel like if you're a painter, you should learn and try oils. It will teach you a lot more about your acrylics in the end, I feel like, even
Oh,
if they are intimidating.
oh yeah. And they are. They were the like acrylics was what I first started out with when I was super young. Like when I was 15, 13, first learning to paint, doing my first art classes was acrylics and watercolors. And they were always telling you to use mediums and stuff, and I didn't understand that. And I finally figured out, a spray bottle, covered palette,
There you go. Right.
Oh.
So, okay, so this is another question that I just started to want to ask everyone because I liked it so much. So, if you could go back and give yourself advice when you first started your art business, when you were 18, because that's what your bio says, and that's what we talked about earlier, what would it be?
I would say this sounds so boring, but focus on your presentation because
Mm.
I have so many pieces, even from back then, that I love. Like I would fix up if I could, but I still love. But they're on shitty canvases, or they're not well designed, or they've got like staples on the side, something that you don't want. Like, things aren't framed well. Just like focus better on doing that, and like your art is automatically going to get you into some more places and automatically be worth more, and people will appreciate that. Like
And it
presentation,
makes
man.
you look good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
exactly.
can't
What you got, you do it.
I didn't realize that it was like something that was not something that a lot of people thought about until I had my gallery. Because you know how Spectra is, like artists first. I like to bring in artists who are like newer and stuff and like have that whole wide range. But I mean, it goes a long way if you have like nice edges and
Yeah,
a varnish. When people bring in stuff and it's got like a nice varnish, I'm like, look at this lovely varnish. And look at this nice gallery wrapped canvas. Or, if it's not, that's okay too. But like just a nice
yeah,
presentation goes a long way.
totally fun. Especially with your place, like you guys do always put artists first. And I love it. Like it's so what the artist is bringing in, and then you guys find the best way to display it. But it does help the gallery or wherever you're showing it to be able to have a gallery wrapped canvas or something, or tags already made, so that they can promote you better. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I think that's great advice. So, okay, what can people who are watching and listening do to follow and support you right now? And before she starts answering that, if anybody else, because we've got 7 minutes left, so if anybody who's watching has a question, you should put it in now. So, yeah. How can people support
nice.
you right now, Ashley?
Realistically, since I'm trying to be better and just get on my old Instagram and actually social media, just follow me, tell me what's up. And
Follower,
if
like her
you're talking,
stuff.
yeah, like me and things. I need validation from the internet. But seriously, I love seeing other people's work because that inspires me. We don't have that now that we're not in school automatically. It's harder to get now that we're not actually going out to art shows. So if you see me on there and you want, like, I don't know, to just show me a piece, I mean, send me a message. I'd love to see your stuff because that inspires me in turn. And, the more people that can share other people's art, the better we're going to do here. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I'd love that.
absolutely. I like that. Um, so is there an artist that you really love right now that you're like following, or like a group that you think is doing something really cool right now that people should check out? Speaking of supporting each other, let's hear who you think we should check out.
Dude, so how did I just face her name? The girl who was on last 2 weeks with the Babe Walls.
Oh, Mo.
Yeah, Mo. So Babe Walls. I don't know if anybody's like following all their stuff on Instagram, but I see it every now and then. I follow like a lot of those artists. They're some boss ass babes doing some real cool shit. And it's like all women, all empowered, like all of this beautiful talent going out and doing stuff. And I don't know if they like hit all their Kickstarter stuff and everything, but if they
They
haven't, like,
did.
awesome. That's so cool. I can't wait to see what they do. So I think everybody
They
should go
did
follow them.
it was like a couple days after our interview, actually. Mo
That's
posted
awesome.
that they reached their goal. Yeah. So it was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really enjoying seeing a lot of the that is coming into this whole situation with all of us being at home. and then all of the different things that are surviving through all of that, and their group doing all this. I'm really glad that it's making it through everything because I can't wait to see what they do. It's gonna be cool.
Heck yeah.
And you
Yeah,
guys,
right. What was that?
you guys, of course.
Oh, us. Aw.
Yeah.
I didn't do as much last week, but I needed a like week to regroup. I think regroup time is kind of important too.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to understand sometimes. Um,
No,
so
I'm
yeah,
so excited about.
so right. So I don't know. I don't know if I saw any questions. There was some comments. Um, Ryan Scott saying you're low key the best. You're his fave. There we
Yeah,
go.
he's my.
Oh, is that your husband?
Yeah.
I was like,
Thank
who is
you.
Ryan Scott? I was like, I feel like I know that name. Did we go to school with him? No, you're like, you're
Yeah.
married. Of course. Yeah, he is the best. He's great. Um, all right. So do you want to let people know how to follow you and stuff? Like what your social media stuff is
Oh
before
yeah.
Instagram kicks us off in a few minutes?
Yeah. So on Instagram, I'm moving away from my website as much because it's more for display. I just want to have more on Instagram and stuff like that because I can kind of fix my commission amount a little bit better. So it's Ashley Raynard on Instagram. It's Ashley Raynard on Facebook. And it's Ashley Raynard on the TikTok. And that's where I put all my in progress videos. Sometimes with puppies.
Dude, your TikToks are so fun. I love that you've been doing that. Is there a dot in the middle of all of them like your Instagram? Because if not, I'll put it in our comments here.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think there should be. It's
It's
just
just
straight up Ashley Raynard. So yeah. Yeah, it's nice. I like having more of a big group to talk to people on there, and I'm gonna be so much better about social media, guys, I swear. It's gonna get better.
no, it's hard. It's like a challenge and it's I feel like there's like a lot of pressure with it too. I mean, I feel like that. I'm like, oh, if I don't have like a good photo, it's not worth posting and I don't know if I want a commission like this right now, so I like won't post stuff. It's like a weird I get weird about it, but then I'll give advice about it all the time.
That's fine. Cool. I like that.
So KK Sparkle says loves your talks, your
Hey,
TikToks. That's great.
Balls.
Thanks, Felipe. Well, yeah, everyone definitely follow Ashley. She said that you could ask her questions. So once you go see how amazing her art is, if you're a painter, it sounds like she's down.
Yeah, super down. I want to see all the
Give
things.
some tips. Um, and maybe that's something we should do, Ashley. Maybe we should do like a
Cool.
monthly Zoom critique thing. I feel like that would be really fun.
That'd be amazing. I'm so down. Let's make it happen.
Especially if we had somebody like you who has that like really classical like figurative look
Yeah.
on things and
I
then somebody who does like something different. I don't know.
yeah. You know,
I think that could be really great. Oh, look at these. These are great.
yeah.
So Sergio Starscream, he says, I love my painting and it hangs right in front of the door for everyone to see.
Yeah. I love
I kind
that.
of can't remember what that one looks like, but I remember the for Donutopia, outside of the amazing cornhole game that you made and painted, you did the stormtrooper in the pool floaty donut. That was pretty great.
Yeah. I'd like to revisit that one, make it better. That one was fun. See, you guys have the
Yeah.
fun of those. Donuts,
Yeah.
plants?
Yeah. Yeah. Art doesn't always have to be super serious.
No.
Well, okay, so we've got 15 seconds. So it was so nice to talk to you, Ashley. Thank you. And good
Thanks.
backdrop for the interview, too. I loved it the whole time.
Love you guys.
So good.
Thanks for
Bye.
Bye.